Hello, and welcome to part 2 of reading Throne of Glass for the first time. So in this video, I am picking up with Queen of Shadows, which is going to be the first book in this video, and I'm going to be finishing the series in this video. It looks a little bit different behind me, and that's because I actually just moved to BC. So yeah, it took me quite a while to read this book, I'm not going to lie, but I finally finished it and I loved this book. Even though it did take me a while, it had nothing to do with the book. I was just very busy. And yeah, I will get into my review. So starting off with my rating, I actually ended up giving this book 5 stars. I thought this book was incredible. The pacing was very fast. Heir of Fire kind of leaves with a lot of groundwork under its belt, and this book picks off very fast. There's a heist right away, and the pacing of this book is just trucking along. So this book was a lot more enjoyable to read because I never felt like there was a dull or boring moment. And we get to see a lot of characters we haven't seen interact in quite a while. A lot of characters just from Throne of Glass in particular, and even from Celaena's past in Assassin's Blade, reappear in this book. In particular, Lysandra comes back, and she goes way back from Celaena's past. So it was very nice to see her in this book again. And she is a character that really surprised me with how deep of a character she is. She has a lot of secrets, and there are a lot of reveals that she shares with us. And I feel like we get to know Lysandra quite well in this book. And there was a lot of things that she shows us that definitely had my jaw on the floor. She is just one of those characters that I cannot wait to see more of. As for Celaena, she finally gets some vengeance, and I was super happy to read about it. It was just when I was reading it, I was like, finally, she gets some vengeance, and she's finally at a place where she should be. As for the magic system, there are a few more reveals in this book, and a lot of interesting subtle hints are dropped as to how it can be controlled and manipulated in this book. And there's a lot of things being chased after in this book. So I really enjoyed reading about all the different dynamics and sides to the magic system and how each person kind of wields their magic differently. So the Iron Teeth clan is a clan of witches, and they have magic as well, but it is different from some of the other magic wielders. And in particular, Manon is one of those people in the Iron Teeth clan. She is very interesting. I love reading about her. All of her chapters were so interesting to me, and she had a lot of character development in this book. It was kind of mind-blowing how much character development she had and how much I love her now. She is one of my favorite characters. I just think that she's got a lot of sides to her, and reading her chapters is so interesting. There's never a dull moment, and she's just a very strong woman. So I really liked reading about her. There is kind of a budding romance that ensued in Heir of Fire that picks up a little bit more in Queen of Shadows, and this could be an unpopular opinion. I'm not sure that the romance is really necessary. It's fine. It's there. I'm not in love with that romance. I think it's okay, but I don't think it really makes the story any better. If I didn't read about that, if that wasn't part of this book, I don't think that would make the book any less good than it is. There's just so much politics and world building, and the magic system is so intriguing, and all of the characters have such unique stories that the romance is fine, but it's not enough to keep me hooked. There are so many other aspects of this story that I find a lot more interesting. So for me, the romance is it's there, but I don't think it's necessary. So yeah, that's probably an unpopular opinion, but that's just kind of how I feel reading it. At the end of this book, there is a big heist that takes place. There's a lot of planning that's going into this heist, and I was very shocked with how it went. And some of the reveals that we get during this heist is kind of crazy to me. There was just a lot happening and a lot of surprises in this book, and the way this book ends with just so much information being given to us as readers that we didn't know before is just setting up perfectly for the tandem read. Really enjoyed this book. I thought the amount of action that was packed into this book was perfect, and all the politics that was happening was perfect as well. So much character development for so many characters. I love this book. This one is 5 stars, and I will be starting the tandem read for Empire of Storm and Tower of Dawn soon. I believe they take place during the same time period, but a certain set of characters are kind of going one way and another set is going the other way. I'm very interested to see how it is going to be reading 2 books at the same time. I'm a little bit nervous just because they're both quite chunky. So yeah, I will let you know my thoughts on those when I get to them. Okay, I have a little bit of an update for Tower of Dawn. So I've been doing the tandem read, and I will say that Tower of Dawn is a little bit slower paced than Empire of Storms, but I'm honestly still really enjoying this book. We're following Chaol and Nesryn as they go to Antica, which is in the southern continent. They're trying to accomplish a certain mission and gain some allies and stuff, and Chaol has a specific mission of his own that Nesryn has joined him to kind of help see that through. Yeah, so I just got to part 2. I'm about halfway through this book on the dot, and I'm really enjoying it. We are meeting a lot of new characters in this book. Lots of new relationships are being formed. I really like the change in scenery. This is the first book that we're kind of hearing anything about the southern continent, so to read a book fully set in this place has been really, really fun, as well as meeting all the new characters. And there's definitely some of the darkness that's kind of infiltrating the southern continent as well. Chaol and Nesryn definitely have their work cut out for them. They've got a lot to do, and it has been really fun reading about their journey. It's been very interesting, even though it is slower paced. I'm really enjoying it. I love all the descriptors we're getting and kind of all the different characters and how they're messing with certain things. I don't really want to spoil too much, but I think the development and the progress of this book has been perfect. Yeah, I'm really, really enjoying it. So I'm really curious to see what part 2 is about and what's going to happen, because not a lot of buildup has happened yet. So I'm hoping for a little bit more action and a little bit more craziness to kind of happen in part 2. But yeah, so far so good. And I would definitely recommend the tandem read. Like, it has been really fun reading both books kind of back and forth. I think it makes the whole story feel very well-rounded. I would have a really hard time reading just one and then trying to like remember everything in the one book to just go back to another. That's all happening at the same time. So honestly, if you're thinking of picking up this series from a person that's reading both right now, in the middle of both, I can say it's definitely worth it. Yeah, it's kind of annoying to carry 2 giant bricks around, but it's worth it. So yeah, I will keep you guys posted on part 2, and I will give a little update on Empire of Storms when I'm a little bit closer to halfway. Okay, I just got to part 2 in Empire of Storm, so I thought I'd give you guys a little bit of an update. I am loving this book, especially the tandem read with Tower of Dawn. And in this book, we are following Celaena, Rowan, and a couple others as they are on a journey to kind of recruit allies. And then we have Manon that has her own side story in this book that we're following. And then we are also following a lead and another main character in their own kind of separate journey. So we have 3 kind of groups that we are following, and they all have their own little journey that they're going on, and they somehow are going to intersect, I believe. I'm not fully there yet. I just got a little bit of a surprise at the end of part 1. So this book has been very good. Lots of action has happened in this book, especially there's been a lot of action with each of the 3 kind of subgroups that we're following, and the last few chapters that we're following, like Rowan and Celaena, have been so intense. Like, there was a very big kind of epic battle that just took place, and it was so good. Like I was reading that so fast. My heart was going. I was like, oh my gosh, is someone gonna die? I was like, please no. And it was just so intense. I was definitely on the edge of my seat reading that battle scene. It was really, really cool to read. And yeah, I enjoyed it a lot. I also love Manon's story. She's had a lot of things happen to her since we left her in Queen of Shadows. So I am rooting for her, but the girl is going through it. She's definitely got a lot going on her journey. And then Elide has a little bit of a quieter journey so far, but definitely interesting and intriguing, and I'm very curious to see how that will develop. And yeah, this book has been good so far. The way that we ended part 1 has me on the edge of my seat because something crazy happened at the very end. So I'm very curious to see how it will develop, especially with Dorian. Like I'm very curious to see how that will work. If you guys have read this, then you know what I'm thinking. I don't want to spoil. So yeah, I'm very curious to see what will happen with Dorian in particular in part 2. And then I'm curious to see how like Manon's story and Elide's story is going to intersect. And yeah, this book has been great, super fast paced, super enjoyable. I'm flipping through it and I'm super enjoying the tandem read. Okay, it has been probably a little bit over a week since I finished Empire of Storms, but I loved this book. Another 5-star in the series. Honestly, like the rest of the books in this series will probably be a 5-star for me. I just love the world, the characters, and the overall writing of these books. So this book, yes, is definitely action-packed, and part 2 had an epic battle scene that I just ate up. I loved reading about the battle, and I liked that it lasted for quite a few chapters. I feel like sometimes the build up to a battle is more than the actual battle itself, but this one did not disappoint. So we've had a couple battles in this book and they've all been really, really good. However, the end of this book caught me off guard and something happens. I don't want to say, but one of the characters, their journey kind of takes a turn, and I was a little bit upset with the way that it went. I am really excited to see what happens in the last book in this series and kind of find out what happens with this character and stuff, because yeah, it caught me off guard and I was like, oh, I don't like that. So besides that, this book was really, really good, and I obviously gave it 5 stars. And then the day after I finished Empire of Storms, I finished Tower of Dawn. And I also gave this book 5 stars. Shocker, right? Yeah, this book was so good. It's not slow paced. I don't know why people say that. It's slower paced maybe than Empire of Storms, but it's still a fast paced book. And there was still a lot of action happening in this book. Part 2 particularly has a lot of action. There are a lot of reveals in this book, and Sartaq is one of my new favorite characters that we've been introduced to. I really enjoyed reading in a new place in this world. We're in the southern continent for this one, and we get a reveal in part 2. These characters kind of go off in their direction and they get themselves into a lot of trouble, but they find something out that is just crazy, and that reveal to me was just so insane. And I'm like so mad now that I know this reveal, and like I just want them to be able to share the information with the characters here, because I think it would help a lot. And so yeah, that reveal was like, oh my goodness. And also at the same time, I'm like, they need to inform everyone ASAP about what they know. And so yeah, this book had me just like ready to read Kingdom of Ashes. I'm so excited to see how these characters unite with these ones, and like the information that's going to be shared between all of these characters is a lot. Like these characters find out so much. These characters find out something super critical, and I'm sure that Kingdom of Ashes is going to be absolutely epic, probably a little bit tragic, but I am ready for it. I actually kind of started it already. I won't give an update yet because I'm not that far in, but so far so good. Yeah, I'm a little bit nervous. I just feel like there's going to be a lot going on, and I'm probably not going to like every single thing in that book, unfortunately. And by that I mean I think someone is going to die, at least one person, because it just always happens in a fantasy. Anyways, 5 stars for this book, 5 stars for this book, and I'm on the last book in the series now, and I cannot wait to give you guys an update. Okay, I just wanted to pop in with a little bit of an update on Kingdom of Ash. So I finished part 1 so far. There's only 2 parts in this last book, but the first part is definitely longer. Like 580 pages is part 1, so definitely a little bit longer, definitely more of a detailed journey. We don't have all of our characters reunited yet. Like they're all still finding their way back to each other. Like we finished the tandem read, they're still all separated and they're slowly coming together piece by piece. So some of them are in battle, some of them are on their own journey to complete a certain task. And I think part 2 is like they're all gonna come together for the final like all-out war. I actually really enjoyed reading about like some separate battles that are happening. They've been really, really interesting. I've been on the edge of my seat and like I was tearing up a little bit because I thought one of my characters that I liked was gonna die. So yeah, I'm not gonna spoil if they did or not, but like I was definitely crying a little bit, and I'm super nervous because I think in the last part of this book, not all our characters are gonna make it because it's an 8-book like fantasy series. There's no way they're gonna all go to war and come out of it alive. Like I know that. I'm just nervous of like who Sarah J Maas is gonna like choose to sacrifice. And there are certain people that I'm like, they cannot be the ones to do that. So I'm really nervous about it. So far so good. And Dorian is definitely getting a little bit more of a spotlight in this book, which I appreciate because I feel like he has a lot going for him, and like there's a lot of different facets around him that really impact the story, but he hasn't been highlighted enough. So I like that he's been getting more of a spotlight in this last book because I think he's like a key piece to this story that deserves a little bit more attention, especially as we're wrapping up the final book. Yeah, that's made me really happy, and I will definitely keep you guys posted on my final reaction of this book, but I think it's going to be a tearjerker. Okay, I finished Kingdom of Ash and I absolutely loved the final book in this series. I'm giving this book 5 stars. Honestly, this whole series for me is a 5-star series. I think this is such a great fantasy to recommend to anyone who likes fantasy or wants to get into it but is intimidated by, you know, the magic systems, world building, politics, all that kind of stuff. This series takes it one step at a time, and you slowly get introduced to more and more characters. You slowly go to other parts of the world, and the magic system just continues to build. It's not all info dumped in the first book. So I think for that reason, this was a great series and I would absolutely recommend. Part 2 of this book was really good, and I liked that all the characters came back together at the end for the final war. I like that the war lasted for quite a while. It was so intense to read about, and I'm happy that it didn't happen within a few chapters and then it was over. Like, it was quite intense for a long time. And I would say that my favorite characters in this series is probably Dorian and Manon. Lysandra's up there too, but I think Dorian and Manon are taking the top spots. Dorian just had a lot of reveals and growth, and Manon had so much character growth. She is just amazing. I love her. Like, I think she's so likable in her own way, and she's just so unique and different. So I really enjoyed reading about her. I didn't cry as much reading this book, but I think it's because the ending was a little bit predictable. Like, I feel like I knew what was going to happen before it did. So I didn't cry very much, but that's not because it wasn't sad or certain aspects weren't sad. It was just a little bit obvious what was going to happen. So yeah, I mean, besides that, I love this book, and I hope you guys loved watching this video, and I can't wait to see you in the next one soon.